Scouting started in Sri Lanka in the year 1912, 5 years after it was founded in England, by a Britisher, Mr. F.G. Stevens, who was serving in Sri Lanka. The first scout troop was at Matale in the central province, and thereafter it spread to all parts of Sri Lanka and has had a steady growth over the years. Scout troops were mostly in schools, and there were few open troops. The Sri Lanka Scout Council is the administrative arm of Scouting, while the Chief Commissioner, along with his commissioners at headquarters, and the District Commissioner and his assistants, see to the technical aspects of Scouting. The Sri Lanka Scout Association functions under an Act of Parliament. Centenary of Scouting. Scouting has had a steady growth and withstood 100 years to celebrate the centenary in 2012. A number of events were planned for the centenary, with the highlight of an Asia-Pacific Jamboree. Pre-publicity for the centenary. As a prelude to the centenary of Scouting, a pre-publicity event was planned and successfully implemented. A cycle tour by the Scouts from the north to the south of Sri Lanka, covering a distance of 650 kilometers, was held in February 2011. 100 scouts were selected from several districts for the event, while the districts through which the tour was passing provided the scouts to cycle in their respective areas to the next point. It was held over a period of 7 days, and the scouts conducted campfires at their night stopovers to enlighten the public on Scouting. Media coverage concerning the event was of special significance and helped to boost the image of Scouting. This tour brought together the Scouts of the North and South, who were separated by a conflict for 30 years, which ended 3 years ago. Religious ceremonies. The centenary year 2012 started off with religious ceremonies held by all the religious faiths practiced in Sri Lanka. The emphasis was on the duty to religion as envisaged in the Scout Promise. The Buddhist ceremony was held in Kandy at the Temple of the Tooth, preceded by a march through the streets of Kandy. The Christian ceremony was held at the Cathedral in Colombo. The Catholic ceremony was held at the St. Lucia's Cathedral in Colombo and the Madhu Church in Mena. The Islamic religious ceremony was held at the Maradana Jumma Mosque in Colombo, and the Hindu religious ceremony was held in Jaffna and Trincomalee. Scouts in uniform participated in large numbers, drawing the much-needed attention. Baden-Powell Day Centenary Celebration. The BP Day celebration was organized on a grand scale on 22nd February as a centenary celebration. It was held at the BMICH in Colombo. A special commemorative postage stamp and first day cover was issued by the Postal Department. The Jamboree song too was launched with the popular singing duo Bhati and Santush, who have been Scouts. Awards to adult leaders and lay members were also presented for their services to the movement. Several districts organized centenary events within their districts. The 29th Asia Pacific Regional Jamboree. The Sri Lanka Scout Association organized a centenary jamboree and decided to host an Asia Pacific Jamboree, for which approval was granted by the Asia Pacific Regional Committee to be the host for the 29th APR Jamboree from 1st to 6th April 2012. The Jamboree site in Dambulla of the Matale district was selected in order to go back to the district where Scouting started 100 years ago. Pre-publicity for the Jamboree. The first event was the logo launch of the Jamboree along with a media conference at the Cinnamon Lake Hotel. Would-be sponsors were invited to create awareness of the Jamboree. A multimedia presentation of Scouting in Sri Lanka and the Jamboree was made at the launch. A Jamboree brochure introducing the Jamboree was printed and sent to all the National Scout organizations in the region and the local districts, which was later followed up by the issue of 3 news bulletins in August, October 2011 and March 2012, giving the much-needed details of the Jamboree. A Jamboree website, Facebook, and interviews by the electronic media and publicity in all media were carried out successfully. The 29th APR and Sri Lanka Centenary Scout Jamboree. The Jamboree drew approximately 6,700 scouts and leaders from 23 countries. The participants arrived on 31st March and prepared for the opening ceremony on 1st April by setting up their campsites. There were 5 sub-camps, which included 1 girls' sub-camp. Around 300 leaders served in the international service team. The Jamboree was declared open by His Excellency Mahinda Rajapaksa, President and Chief Scout of Sri Lanka, on 1st April amidst a large gathering. The commemorative coin issued by the Central Bank of Sri Lanka was released on this date by the Governor of the Central Bank, Ajit Niwad Cabral. A cultural presentation followed the opening ceremony. The Jamboree program comprised various activities of skills. Which also included visits to the World Heritage Sites Sigiriya and Dambul. The Global Development Village, the APR Center, and the APR Village were also included in the activity program. Sub-camp activities included campfires, presentation of cultural activities, and traditional games of Sri Lanka.
Today marks the 5th day of the Scout Jamboree, which is being held to coincide with the centenary celebrations of the Sri Lanka Scout movement. All the scouts taking part in this jamboree were divided into 4 camps yesterday. These camps have been named as Kalani, Nilwala, Walave and Mahavali. Both local and foreign scouts taking part in the jamboree performed various cultural activities after lighting the campfire rather. 6,000 Sri Lankan scouts as well as 700 scouts from 26 nations are taking part in the jamboree. According to our correspondent in Dambulla, Aditya Jayawardena, the scouts are preparing for the international night tonight.
Jamboree closing ceremony was held on 6th April with an arena display depicting the history of scouting in Sri Lanka, which was followed by a musical show by the famous singing duo of Sri Lanka, Bhati and Santu. Honorable Bandula Gunawardena, Minister of Education, was the chief guest. 5 issues of the Jamboree newspaper were published during the Jamboree in 3 languages. The Jamboree concluded with the participants carrying happy memories of a rare occasion, the centenary, which gave a fillip to scouting in Sri Lanka.
Didula Shata Sanvatsare Asia Pacific Kare Gini Nala Dalva Sema Me Baladaksha Virayo Nasidena Shaktiyan Loa Badura Mate jive නිසා මේ විඳ ගමිනා හද බැතිනා Dalvumane nete pahase kandu matina niduma galana Jolikale node varuratile Asia pasurikkengum timuti onraya neivarume இளைய வெற்றி வீரர்கள் வழங்கிடும் சக்தியே உலகெங்குமே Bahe galadore kandavurina jive demina niduna shata sanvatsare Asia Pacific kare ginala dalva sama me baladaksha veerayo nasidena shaktiyak Lova Tura